All right. I'm going to call the meeting of June 12th, 2024 to order at 7:03 p.m. Will everybody please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll have a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Cindy Simpson.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Brett McWhorter.
Here.
Trustee David Payton. Here. Trustee Daniel Hennett.
Here.
Trustee Nick Manning.
Here.
Trustee Richard Tuffa.
Present.
Trustee Andreas Esparza.
I'm here on the phone. Present.
All right. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda, and I just want to point out that item 2 somehow disappeared from the PDF. I said PDQ. The PDF, and so the discussion and action items should be the boathouse and then Borough Fest open container request, and then the public proclamation ordinance, noxious weed, and so on. So just FYI. So I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the agenda as presented by staff.
Okay.
Second.
Clerk, please. All in favor? Sorry, I'm still getting the hang of this. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Oh, you're for it, right?
Absolutely. Aye.
Yeah, I went too fast. Sorry about that. And then we have the approval of the minutes of May 22, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of May 22nd, 2024 as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. We're working our timing out. All right, so we have our treasurer's report, the 2023 financial audit, and April bills and claims.
Chris Majors is here to present the financial audit to you all.
All right,
So you go first.
bring it on. You're up.
Ready or not?
I'm never gonna do this soon. How detailed do you want? Just normal?
Nitty and gritty.
Yeah, normal.
Meat and potatoes.
Okay, let's see what good.
Sounds good to me.
I mean, yeah, a little more than that.
Maybe medium.
Medium. Are we healthy?
Yes, sure. I'm just gonna go the only way I go through it very quickly. As I always said, and for you new board members, ignore pages 3 through 15. Where I was at the town, let's say, private business with appreciation and stuff like that. This is the way you do your budget. We have to present both ways. Don't get me started there. So, I'm going to start on page 17. Let's go through it real quick. This is your income statement for the general fund and conservation trust fund. You'll see down there, third line up at the bottom, excess revenues over expenditure. You had a loss there of $132,000 out of the general fund. I don't know, that's not a big issue. You've got 2.7 million in reserves, so it's virtually break even. So it lost a little money for the first time in a long time. It's a stand to do that without any problem. Conservation trust is always just going to kind of float around. You get lottery money in and spend it. So this year you got to spend $4,000 less than you got in. I'm going to skip over Working on this. Let's go to page 20. This is water and sewer. Third line up, it's called change in net position. That's translates to net income loss. You see your water fund had a profit of 515,000. Don't get all giddy over that. The weird accounting principles, all the grant money coming in is revenue. The facilities you're buying with that is capitalized and depreciated. So it's like all this money comes in with no expense against it, other than depreciation because it's an enterprise fund. So temper your enthusiasm on that one a little bit. Next one over is middle column. There's the sewer fund. It lost 36,000, but you had $203,000 in depreciation, which is non-cash expense. So it's fine. Yeah. Your water fund also had $100,000 transfers back to general, and the sewer fund did not have any transfers. Nothing to worry about there. Reserves are good. They're fine. That's all the funds. Overdue, kind of how we did.
Did we break any laws?
No.
Great.
Not aware of.
Perfect.
But if you did, it's your fault, not mine.
Good answer. Good answer.
If you go all the way back to 37, I don't think you know if you want to go through more detail the approach to the financial services. Intervening pages are just a whole bunch of explanatory boilerplate. Page 37 is your budget actual on your general. You came in $1.4 million under budget on expenditure. They did budget and some grant stuff that didn't give us.
Yeah.
So it was fine, no law broken there. Skipping over to page 40. Conservation Trust. You underspent your budget, so you're fine there by $1,751. No harm, no foul. Page 41 and 42 are the water and sewer. That's done on the same basis as your budget, so it's going to show capital outlay and there's expenditure. So there you kind of see if you go up about 2 inches from the bottom there, it says change in net position non-GAAP basis. And then in the actual column, when you put your grant revenue in and actually account for the money that went out to buy the facilities, you lost $285,000 instead of $500,000 profit. So, I mean, it is what it is. Next page is the same deal for the sewer fund. There's nothing there to point out. The last few pages of the highway report submitted electronically to the state. That's a very quick overview.
Any questions?
Usually what we've done is each board member has a copy of the schedule. And if there are questions or if they want more detail or if they want to go over it, we have scheduled a specific workshop or a specific time on the agenda, like an hour or whatever. But this gives the trustees time to take the information home, think about the process, and then send me an email to say, yeah, I'm good, or I have one question. If I get 5 questions, we're going to schedule a workshop. And then Chris makes totally time to come back.
Or if you have a quick question, just give me a call in my office.
Because this is a ton of information that we're just handling, so know that you have the opportunity to review it and we can discuss it in more depth. If there are any questions, special workshops. Totally.
Perfect. Thanks, Heather.
Okay. Then what? Questions?
No.
Okay. Bills and claims? Anything to let us know about that? Okay. So I would look for a motion to accept or approve? Approve?
I would accept.
Accept?
Accept the audit, approve the bills and claims.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the 2023 financial audit and approve the April bills and claims as presented.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Will the clerk please call the roll? Oh, is it an aye thing? Okay. Jeez, I got it in my notes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
And now that you have accepted the financial audit, it'll be posted on the website
Oh, okay.
in the next couple of days, but it will be on our website.
Okay,
And I
great.
will, I'll submit it to the state auditor.
Okay.
That'll be done.
Great.
Unless you want that,
I'm sorry,
do you want to submit it to the state auditor?
whatever you want me to do, whatever's best. I'll submit it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
I'll do that tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Yeah, you too.
All right. So the next item on the agenda is the presentation by Mount Dolores Coalition. We've got 10 minutes. Or less. Go ahead and state your name and address for the record, and then go ahead and do your presentation.
Okay, so my name is Michelle Fury. My address, I am a Mancos resident. I live at 14784 Road 40.2. And I am the coalition coordinator for the Mount Dolores Coalition. And so I've got a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation. I have like a novel of notes, and so I'm going to give you a big info dump really quick here. So be prepared. So the Mount Dolores Coalition, we are a regional partnership to the Colorado Outdoor Partnership, and that lives sort of under an umbrella of what the Colorado Outdoor Strategy is. So the Colorado Outdoor Strategy encompasses 500-something plans, like water plans, climate plans, energy plans, recreation plans, all of these, and they're all coming into one overarching strategy for the state of Colorado, okay? And the Mount Dolores Coalition Executive Committee has come together, and this is our sort of our vision statement at the moment. Okay. Partners working with this would be Colorado Parks and Wildlife, Division of Natural Resources, Colorado Natural Heritage Program, GOCO, Great Outdoors Colorado, and the Governor's Office. So this was brought about by Executive Order B 2020-008. And I'm just going to read you a little bit of a paragraph out of that executive order that kind of relates to this. This is to strengthen and build upon existing regional and state level partnerships. The executive order creates the Colorado Outdoor Regional Partnership Initiative. This initiative will convene a broad spectrum of voices and to identify and create, formalize, and localize regional collaborations as Colorado Outdoor Regional Partnerships. Through this initiative, the Department of Natural Resources, in consultation with Colorado Parks and Wildlife and the Colorado Outdoor Partnership, will establish a state-level vision for balancing recreation and conservation to ensure equitable, sustainable access to outdoor recreation. This vision will inform a statewide conservation and recreation plan that incorporates priorities set by regional partnerships. So I know that's a mouthful and sounds very bureaucratic, but essentially what it means is that the state would like to create these regional partnerships that are homegrown on a regional level where they're informing the state on how we want to create this outdoor strategy around outdoor conservation and recreation. Okay. Oh, you're right there. Thanks. Okay, so partners here would be CPW, like I said, DNR, CNHP, GOCO, the Governor's Office. You can go to 3. These are sort of statewide partners at the moment. We've established an executive committee at this point, and so I'm going to just give you kind of a rundown of who's on our executive committee and who's representing this regional partnership at this point. So that's Tom Rice with the Forest Service. He's the Recreation Staff Officer out of the Dolores Ranger District. He's the chair. And The vice chair would be Joseph Manning with the BLM. Paul Morey with National Park Service, Jessica Thurman with Ute Mountain Ute Tribe, Jamin Grigg with Colorado Parks and Wildlife, James Dietrich with Montezuma County, Steve Garcher with Dolores County, Jason Armstrong, Town of Mancos, Kaylin Grigg, Town of Dolores, Lene Donahue, who owns Podunks Ranch and represents an agricultural community, and Brian Bartlett with Mesa Verde Country, who represents tourism and destination management. Okay. So what we've done so far is we've created this executive committee. We've done a fair amount of stakeholder outreach, and we've adopted a governing charter. And the governing charter creates a coalition roundtable. So the coalition roundtable includes stakeholders of the organization, and the members will discuss, deliberate, and to the extent possible, work regarding specific outdoor recreation and conservation issues. So collaboration is key here. This is really our overarching goal. So we're looking to find opportunities to enhance outdoor recreation experiences in our region, sharing ways we can, or increasing access to recreation opportunities, particularly for locals, finding ways to increase our benefits from a recreation economy, and building a resilient economic landscape while preserving the quality of life for our residents. Okay, we want to balance conservation and sustainability with outdoor recreation. That's really what the governor wants to see, right? That's the whole point of this. Okay, so the state of Colorado is simultaneously working on their statewide plan, their SCORP, that is the statewide comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. That final draft is out for public comment right now. That again gets nested into the Colorado Outdoor Strategy, so it's just a piece of that. You can go to slide 4. Okay. So we recognize this unique opportunity in the region to build and drive economic vitality in particular. We want to build a homegrown workforce. We want to infuse the local economy with special trades and industry that support the outdoor recreation industry in particular, and balancing the needs of farmers, ranchers, hunters, anglers, and conservationists. Slide 5. Okay, so Colorado Parks and Wildlife and the Colorado Natural Heritage Program have made great strides to create this universal planning matrix. They're using geospatial tools to help inform public land and natural resources managers throughout their planning process. So the ultimate goal here is to have clear communication between agencies, from federal to state and local. And so you sort of have these 3 different tiers of land managers or natural resources managers that are making plans, that are sort of doing that in silos. And the goal here is to bring these together. And some of these geospatial tools, like what you see on the right there, that colorful map. So these are map overlays that can be incorporated as a planning tool where you're looking at wildlife migration corridors or sensitive species or sensitive habitat that need to be considered when we're looking at land management planning. Okay. 6, please. Thanks. So across the state right now, there are 18 regional partnerships. I think that's important for you to understand that this is not a condensed effort. This is across the state now. 18 regional partnerships. We meet monthly to, again, collaborate, but also kind of share our stories and what our processes are, what our what's working, what's not working. Yeah, so, okay, 7, thanks. So how do we plan to do this? We are scheduling a series of listening sessions that will be held in the communities of Towak, Cortez, Dove Creek, Rico, Dolores, Mancos. Those will be later in probably in the 4th quarter and into 2025 that those will be happening. We've got a community survey drafted and has been distributed across our stakeholders. Our stakeholder list is roughly 130 different organizations right now, and that's growing on a regular basis. It's being published on social media and our website, which is under construction. And then it will also be distributed in these community listening sessions. We're providing a resource hub of tools, programs, events, and news across the region that can be shared by local organizations, user groups, and citizens. So when I say this hub of resources and tools, it's not just for the land managers, and I think that's really important to note because community members, visitors can also use these different types of geospatial tools, one of them being Codex, another one being Cotrex, where right now Cotrex tracks all the trails in our region, and it also has wildfire alerts. So that's it's kind of an important tool to be able to spread, particularly to visitors, because they can contribute to that, doing things like posting dispersed camping sites, social trails, kind of flagging things. And then showcasing regional priorities, programs, and projects. So we by that collaborative effort, we're bringing together the plethora of different nonprofit organizations that work in conservation and outdoor recreation and industry partners in this area. Okay, so we're communicating with the state, like I said, monthly on meetings, and we're sharing those. Slide 8. Thanks. Okay, we want to empower results, and what that looks like, it would be this consistent communication across agencies, a collaborative community approach to development. That's really key. A vibrant and sustainable outdoor recreation economy. We really see this as an opportunity to bolster the outdoor recreation economy here in this part of the state. And then ensuring, again, they're all equally important, but ensuring that all members of our community have access to recreation experiences and healthy lifestyle. So elements of our plan include the community listening session, quarterly stakeholder meetings, our coalition roundtable meetings. And in the coalition roundtable meetings, they will develop a method for recommending projects, data records of recreation use in areas of concern, regional prioritization of outcomes, sharing resources, data sets, and tools for planning and collaboration. And then I want to just give an extra highlight to tribal engagement. And thus far, we're doing quite a bit of engaging with particularly the Ute Mountain Ute tribe, and what we're finding is our dwindling resources, they're short on staff, like the tribal park guides, it's a concern that they don't have the staff for that. Also, with their elders, the cultural and historic knowledge, trying to create a way for an oral transfer of knowledge, so not to lose those resources. They also have energy resources and then a workforce pipeline, particularly in the trades, that we're looking at trying to help with. Okay, last slide. So I just want to give you a heads up on what we have for upcoming events and calls to action. June 26th, Colorado Parks and Wildlife and Keystone Policy Center will be coming down and presenting the Colorado's outdoor strategy that will be held at Pueblo Community College right there at the Minkus campus from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. June 26th. Okay, June 31st, Montezuma County and the Monolores Coalition will be co-presenting on Montezuma County's OREC plan, which has now been published and adopted, and we'll give some stakeholder updates as well there. TBD, so we don't have the date for this one yet, but CNHP, that's Colorado Natural Heritage Program, will be coming down to present on their statewide biodiversity study. And I know there's more. We currently have a call for applications out for the Coalition Roundtable. That represents about 16 user groups, as well as the entire executive committee that I mentioned earlier. And so, what I would ask, I guess, of you, I didn't really come here for an ask, but now I'm asking, is if you could share that with your constituents and really try to get the word out so that we can cover a broad base of demographics, because we really do want to represent as large of a base of user groups that we can. The application deadline for that is July 12th. And then the other thing that you could also do is share the community survey with your constituents. And I'll send those to Jason, but there's a URL link and there's a QR code. It's pretty easy to share, and as many different inputs that we can get from a large base of demographics, we'd really appreciate.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you
No
very much.
questions? Great.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle.
And staff will get you some information to your emails with the survey information and more information about the roundtable info.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Okay, so now we turn to audience business. Anyone who is on the list, Mark Stevens and Rick Eisenberg, hang on just a second. You'll be limited to 5 minutes per person. And yeah, and the length of, never mind. Yeah, 5 minute limit. We'll keep time, and we'll need you at the podium. Turn the microphone so it faces in, so that we can hear you through the room. And you'll need to state your name, physical address, and the town business topic that you want to talk about. All right. And so, Mark Stevens, first up.
Good evening. My name is Mark Stevens, 45256 Road J.8. And I'm here tonight to keep you all in the loop about a current Mancos Creative District project that could have a major impact on our local economy and community overall. I am a board member with the Mancos Creative District. The Mancos Creative District, just as a quick background, is one of 30 districts in the state. We're founded under the Colorado Office of Economic Development. We consider ourselves a partner with the town in economic and community development. Our vision is to help establish Mancos as a hub for creative industries that in turn benefit our whole community through the sense of connection and well-being that arts and creativity stimulate. We've worked at this over the years, hosting events, coordinating public art, offering scholarships and mini grants for creative ideas, and generally working to highlight the amazing creative energy that Mancos is brimming with. We manifest ourselves in a lot of different ways. Borough Fest coming up this weekend, the holiday art market, public art, scholarships, mini grants for local artists and businesses, partnerships with many other organizations, including the school district, Mancos Common Press, the Chamber, Mesa Verde Writers Conference, Mixed in Mancos, and on and on. And this brings us to the Mancos Opera House. And this is what I'm here tonight to fill you in on. 5 months ago, Philip and Linda Walters approached the Mancos Creative District with the proposal that our nonprofit organization take ownership of the Mancos Opera House. For 5 years, Philip and Linda have worked to bring the iconic building, first built in 1910, back to life. The Walters have rebuilt critical infrastructure, replaced the roof, plumbing, and electrical, installed handicapped accessible bathrooms, an elevator, air quality systems, and other improvements to create a safe space that meets code. In 2017, when the Walters began the work, they knew they would not own it forever. Philip told the Durango Herald at the time, in a couple of years, it would be nice if we were in the process of getting it in the hands of a community nonprofit. I'd like to do the not-for-fun stuff that the building needs to last another 100 years, but then start getting out of the way of the creative people that can make it go. The Walters told the Mancos Creative District that they approached us because the organization's mission and values align with their original idea around ensuring that the renovated facility is operated as a true community-wide facility that opens its doors to all. So, steps we are taking to assess the feasibility and create a roadmap for the Mancos Opera House include: we're exploring areas of common interest and potential partnerships with other organizations in the community. We're gathering community input about how to use the space. We have a community visioning session about downtown and the Mancos Opera House now set for Monday, July 8th at 5:30 p.m. This is the first meeting. Future meetings are TBA, but this is where we'll kick off the community input sessions. By the way, we will use these input sessions to inform the Colorado Main Street program setup that Jason Armstrong is working on. We're hiring a consultant to help us think about this opportunity from a business financial feasibility standpoint. And my colleague Rick Eisenberg, fellow board member, will speak about this element of our work in more detail. For the Mancos Creative District, the prospect of becoming the next stewards of the Opera House is a deep honor, and it makes sense as a new direction for our organization. While the possibilities feel boundless, this is a step that we do not take lightly. To date, the Mancos Creative District has operated on a small budget supported by grants and community donors, including $3,300 from the sales tax pool here at the town for rent, supplies, event coordination, marketing, etc., and we thank you deeply for that contribution. Operating the Mancos Opera House means that we need to grow as an organization, and we want to be sure that we can sustain this special space for the community. We also understand that questions about this important building and its use play a vital role in the future of downtown Mancos, and its overall, we want to serve our whole community for many generations to come.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Mark.
Very well timed, 39 seconds left. You did it. Oops. How do I clear it? There we go. Rick Eisenberg.
Okay, Rick Eisenberg, 455 Riverside Ave. I'm speaking as a board member and vice president and treasurer of the Mancos Creative District, and I'm going to take over for where Mark left off and describe to you where we are with the feasibility planning of the potential acquisition of the Mancos Opera House. So the Mancos Creative District put together what we feel is a very robust RFP of specific needs and deliverables to distribute to a list of about 12 curated potential consultants to assist in our feasibility study. The goal of that RFP was to find and engage experts to help support development of a viable and sustainable business plan for the Opera House, as well as help us inform a capital campaign strategy for executing this plan. We eventually interviewed about half of these consultants, and at this point, selected 2 of them that we feel will best meet our needs. Both of these consultants had specific areas of expertise around our needs that will complement each other very well. The first consultant we selected is Ayers Associate, who I believe you're familiar with. Ayers will be tasked first with helping us explore, along with the town, community, and stakeholders, the vision for the building as a creative hub for the community, and one that would help contribute to the economic vitality of the downtown Mancos area and the Mancos Valley as a whole. Next, they would help us build a financial model that would include analysis of the acquisition of the building, required tenant improvements, and estimating building revenues. They would help us determine the financial gap to help establish targets for fundraising. They would also help identify different acquisition strategies, including possible owner financing, bank financing, and philanthropic sources, as well as help identify eligibility for additional monies, as well as tax incentives such as enterprise zone tax credits and so forth. They'd also provide a market study of the proposed uses of the Opera House to include things like regional demand, potential tourism, and competition from similar uses in the region. Finally, they would assist with the strategic project and organization planning, working with our board to facilitate a discussion and presentation of the financial analysis, along with next steps in a pro-con analysis. It would also help us evaluate our capacity to manage and fund the building's operations in an ongoing and sustainable manner. The time frame for this work would be this July through September. The cost of this work is $24,300. The second consultant we've selected is Eileen Ruggensack with Third Sector Innovations. Eileen will focus on campaign/fundraising readiness assessment. She would conduct a fundraising feasibility study identifying both grant and non-grant funder prospects, test prospective donor interest and commitment, conduct interviews with prospective donors, and provide reports on the likelihood of meeting our fundraising goals. She would also help guide fundraising, campaign planning, and budgeting. The cost of this work is approximately $10,000, and we are fine-tuning this as we work with her to resubmit a proposal based only on the work we would engage her to do that I noted above. This work would come generally after or possibly overlapping with the work that AIRS will perform for us. So the total cost of these two consultants is $34,300. To date, we have raised $22,500 with grants from both DOLA and the Betcher Foundation targeted for these uses. As we then allocate the funds provided for these consultants, we calculate that we currently have a gap of about $5,000 to fund the AIRS work and about $6,800 to fund third sector innovations. We're currently planning a photography exhibit and sound auction for late July to further fund our gap. Our goal is to fund the study through specific fundraising and campaigns that will not disrupt our ability to run the programs and events that are important to this community. So, we do have a specific ask of the town and are hoping that town would consider supporting the $5,000 gap in hiring AIR associates to complete their piece. If this is something you might consider or would like more information, we would ask you to consider putting us on a future town agenda to discuss this request further. We truly appreciate all the support the town has given us over the years, and the board is very excited to be in this position of the Memphis Creative District potentially acquiring the Opera House to help further expand our mission, serve the community, and contribute to the economic vitality of downtown Memphis and the Valley. We're also open to any amount you might consider to fill the gap for this phase one with AIRS. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks.
19 seconds left. Excellent.
Nice practice.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. And as you know, we'll, at the end of the meeting, we'll talk about, you know, if we want this on the agenda, things like that. Yeah, okay. All right, so that, is anybody else here from the audience that would like to speak? No? Just watching? Okay. All right. So that concludes audience business and any announcements, staff?
Jason has an announcement and then I have a few. So.
Okay. And if you can speak up, because I want to make sure Andres can hear. Come on.
So, just really quickly, Leadership Montezuma is wrapping up their first year's cohort. The graduation is actually tomorrow night. And they're starting to do recruitment for the next round of Leadership Montezuma. And so they're going to do a series of community outreach events to just inform people like what it is. This is the commitment, here's how much it costs. They're going to be doing 2 sessions in Cortez, July 9th. I'll send you guys this flyer. And it's just information sessions. So if people want to come, they can come ask questions about the program, get those questions answered and decide what's for them. I'm trying to work on something the following week for Vegas. So that might work better for you guys if you're interested or you know anybody, but I'll send you guys that information. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Okay, so CML is next week, and Cindy and Nick will be attending from the board. So thank you for not be attending, since I'm trying to cram some stuff in before I go on.
Yeah.
We applied for federal funding for an SRO grant because the deadline was today. So you will see on the next agenda, even I will not be at the meeting, but the department has got this. We'll be giving you, okay, here's the application. If we get the money, can you make this motion? So they're giving that to you next month, or next meeting, excuse me.
Okay.
There are openings on the Energy Impact, the DOLA Energy Impact Review Committee. So I've reached out to our DOLA representative, and the time commitment is 3 times a year for 3 days. And then
Each time?
Each time in one day.
So like 9 days? Oh, okay.
and then but DOLA pays for hotel travel and per diem, and there are 6 other virtual calls a year, 30 to 90 minutes, and then of course you'll get packets and you'll have to go through that. Is there any objection? This is the first time that Vegas has received this information. Is there any objection if I submit an application to sit on that committee?
That'd be great.
I think
Do you
it's
have
awesome.
enough time?
And then if it comes up again, kind of like we did with GoVote, Jamie and I have sat on the GoVote review committee, so the next time it comes up, I'm gonna ask somebody else.
Great.
So the same thing here, this works for us, and it's wonderful when we get the opportunity again.
Okay.
But if there's no objection to that,
As long as it doesn't interfere with the rest of your schedule.
I will make sure.
Yeah.
I just think it's a really good opportunity for us. DOLA has been incredibly great to the town
Yes.
with regard to our applications, but they are getting more and more and more competitive. So I do think having kind of some more well-rounded knowledge of how the process works would be helpful for us moving forward for our future.
Yes, agreed.
We have published the request for proposals for the IBC and construction standard update. The deadline was today for the Q&A from interested parties, so those have been posted to our website. The deadline for the actual proposal is July 9th at 3 p.m. So once we get those, staff will review them, and then eventually you guys will see all of that information and recommendation from staff. I did receive questions from 2 separate organizations, so fingers crossed that we can quotes from these. Once that happens, I have reached out to DOLA, and they're willing, once we have the dollar amount from that project, they're willing to entertain an administrative grant to cover 50%. So you'll see that as well. And then the new website goes live on June 28th. So just an FYI for that, Jason and Jamie and Mercedes have been working really hard on that.
And that's the accessible, meeting the accessibility. Okay, cool.
And not that there won't necessarily be tweaks to that if they change legislation again or if they extend or whatever, but we've at least started the process to start meeting that goal. They didn't push it back, but we were already through the website design project, so we just so,
yeah, cool.
That's all that staff has.
Okay, Richard.
Jackson Reservoir is having their 75th anniversary on Saturday up there. There will be fireworks.
Do we have any information on time?
9 o'clock.
What's
Dark.
going on?
9 o'clock is what I've heard.
Oh, okay, so it's like night.
Night,
Fireworks.
they'll be shooting them off the
Yeah, but they're also serving food up there too.
Yeah.
You can go out on a boat on the lake and watch the fireworks.
Yeah, they'll be shooting them off the dam, I do know that.
I will send an email to Wes tomorrow and see if I can get some information.
Yeah.
If I can, I'll send it out.
Yeah.
The reason I know is the Memphis Fire Department's doing
Yeah.
fireworks.
Yeah.
So
Of course.
I'll email Wes and see if I can get some information on the details.
Yeah.
And then I'll send it to you all in case.
But I don't think the dinner starts at 9 o'clock at night.
No, yeah.
No, there'll be stuff going on all day.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow and send it to you.
Yeah, there's a great big sign up there. We saw it last night.
It's gonna be packed up there.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's gonna be really a lot of people.
Justin could be really
Anybody
busy.
else? Any other trustees have any
I said
announcements?
you'd be really busy Saturday.
Okay. All right, so no more announcements. We will move on to committee reports. I do not see the Montezuma County Commissioner here to update us. Did he send anything? No? Okay. Region 9 update? What's that?
Didn't he get, I heard about he got injured on a,
No, that wasn't him.
oh, that wasn't you?
It was a while ago.
Oh,
That wasn't him.
Yeah.
It was his cattle, but it wasn't him.
okay.
Okay.
I just wondered maybe that was right.
I've got a couple of Region 9 things.
Okay.
One is they are expanding their finance department, so they're looking for potential candidates to fill a full-time position. They're looking for someone with county bookkeeping and financial experience. So if you know of anybody, so keep your eyes open. Also, this is probably more pertinent to city board members. If you're interested, they're going to develop a new finance development committee for the organization. I'm looking for two meetings a year. They're looking for.
How many days are they?
Yeah.
I've got 1 hour
3
extra
days
this
every
year.
Just putting it out there.
Okay.
If you're interested in that.
Do you have something you could send me for that I could look at? Thanks, Jason.
All right. Anything else? Okay. Montezuma County Planning Commission update. Do we have anybody covering that? Am I supposed to be? Okay.
Would you like me to revisit that on a future agenda?
Wasn't the mayor covering that?
I thought that was a mayor position.
Well, Queenie was, yeah.
Queenie was.
When Queenie was the mayor, she volunteered.
It's not required by the mayor.
Yeah.
It's for the town planning commission.
Yeah.
So we had no trustee volunteers for that.
Are those monthly? They're monthly?
Yeah.
Monthly.
What, so they're Thursday nights? How long are they usually?
It depends on how many we have to review.
Can feel,
I'm gonna put a note on a future agenda for the unassigned committees to just bring that back to you, now that everybody's been settled in, and getting a little used to meetings and how long review packets and stuff is.
Yeah.
And
Okay, that sounds good.
good.
Yeah. Then we can
You
think
don't
about
have
that.
to. If you choose again to not assign any committees,
Yeah.
then I'll take the initiative and assign some.
Okay, awesome. All right. Moving on to our discussion and action items. The boathouse on Grand, the boathouse on Grand Hotel and Restaurant liquor license renewal.
The boathouse, they're up for renewal July 21st. There have been no violations. The marshal office has no objections.
Okay.
Or any other?
no.
Nope.
Any questions? If there,
No, it's a hotel and restaurant.
That's how, liquor, okay.
okay. If there's no other questions, then I would entertain a motion and a second.
Make a motion, we approve the renewal of the 2024 Durango Culinary Concepts LLC DBA, the Boathouse on Grand Hotel and Restaurant liquor license, and authorize the town clerk to send the application to the Department of Revenue.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Brenda Porter.
Aye.
Trustee David Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Daniel Hennett.
Aye.
Trustee Nick Manning.
Aye.
Trustee Richard Tucker.
Aye.
Trustee Andreas Esparza.
Aye.
Okay. All right, so passes. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the Borough Fest open container request.
Yes, so this Saturday is Borough Fest from 10 to 4 p.m. They have requested open container permit for Boyle Park. In the past, we have approved for Magus Days and Borough Fest to have the open container. The marshal's office has reviewed this and has no objections. They will have a beer tent in the new taco place right here. And so Borough Fest is actually paying for one of our marshals to make sure, open container, everything's contained, that alcohol from there is not ending up over here.
Great.
Okay, awesome. Any questions? I would entertain a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the open container permit submitted by the Magus Creative District Borough Fest, June 15th, 2024, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Brenda Porter.
Aye.
Trustee David Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Daniel Hennett.
Aye.
Trustee Nick Manning.
Aye.
Trustee Richard Tucker.
Aye.
Trustee Andreas Esparza.
Aye.
All right, it passes. Go Burrows. So the next item on our agenda is the public proclamation request for LGBTQ plus Pride Month, and that is in the packet. And so last year, 2 years ago, we changed our policies on proclamations. It used to be people would just kind of bring them into staff and they'd put them on the agenda and the mayor would read them. But we have the procedures that were included, thank you, and then the request. So any kind of discussion?
I'm glad we're doing it.
So I mean, I will say that that policy seems to disagree with, or it seems to preclude us from approving something like this, trying to be very careful, but this is definitely politically charged and divisive. I try to ride that middle line very carefully, and I think that some topics like this can undermine our credibility as neutral, nonpartisan actors who are not considering maybe all of our community members when making decisions. I think our primary goal should be to govern inclusively, ensuring that all members of our community, even those that we disagree with, feel represented and respected. So I feel like the previous policy, and number 1 says that the proclamations that will not be approved are politically divisive.
Okay. Any other comments?
And for the new trustees, the way this would work is you would either make a motion in a second, and it doesn't need a roll call vote, so it's a motion, a second, and then an aye or no. If it passes, the mayor reads the proclamation and we make it part of our permanent record. If there is no motion or the motion doesn't pass, then we move on to the next item. Because this is new, I wanted to explain that for the new members. Like you said, the Arbor Day one that they've already seen was just on there because it's required in order for us to get our tree city certification.
Right.
So that's why this proclamation is being treated differently than last one. That proclamation is required.
Yeah.
Every other proclamation you will see throughout the year is at the board's approval.
Okay. Okay, and if I recall correctly, if there's a motion, it should be worded in the positive. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
If the board as a whole or somebody on the board wants to make a motion, then the motion needs to be, I recommend or I move that we approve the proclamation as presented to the public. There needs to be a second, and then it needs to be yes or no, and the proclamation will be read. If the majority board or any board, if there is no motion, this item just dies right here, and we move on to the next.
Okay. All right. So
it's up to you.
If there's no other comments, I would entertain a motion.
How do I word that again? I'm sorry, there's too many. Yeah, I make a recommendation that we approve the proclamation of LGBTQ plus Pride Month, June 2024. Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
I second that motion.
Oh, okay. Thank you. But 2 seconds.
Forgot there's a voice there.
I know. Startled me. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. So, motion passes. Okay. Okay, so the motion passes. We're at Town of Maco's proclamation of LGBTQ plus Pride Month, June 2024. Whereas the Town of Maco supports the rights of every citizen to experience equality and freedom from discrimination, and whereas the Town of Maco denounces prejudice and unfair discrimination based on age, gender identity, gender expression, race, color, religion, marital status, national origin, sexual orientation, or physical attributes as an affront to our fundamental principles, and whereas our nation was founded on the principle of equal rights for all people, but the fulfillment of this promise has been long in coming for many Americans. Some of the most inspiring moments in our history have arisen from the various civil rights movements that have brought one group after another from the margins to the mainstream of American society. And whereas Pride Month began in June of 1969, on the 1-year anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising in New York City, after LGBTQ plus and allied friends rose up and fought against the constant police harassment and discriminatory laws that have since been declared unconstitutional, And whereas June is celebrated as LGBTQ plus Pride Month nationwide, and whereas the town of Mancos has a diverse LGBTQ plus community that includes people of all ethnicities, religions, genders, and professions, and whereas it is imperative that young people in our community, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression, feel safe, valued, safe, empowered, and supported by their peers and community leaders. And whereas everyone should be able to live without fear of prejudice, discrimination, violence, and hatred based on race, religion, gender identity, or sexual orientation. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees, on behalf of all residents of Mancos, does hereby proclaim June 2024 as LGBTQ plus Pride Month and urges all residents to respect and honor our diverse community and celebrate and build a culture of inclusiveness and acceptance. The end. All right. Okay, moving along. Ordinance 781, Series 2024, encroachment ordinance at 110 South Main Street.
I'm gonna recuse myself for this one.
Okay, okay. Bye.
So I'm gonna have Jason start this because this project is his project. And then once we get to the encroachment piece, if you have any questions, I'll take over, and if there's anything related to traffic or we can ask Terry. But I'm gonna let Jason introduce it as for the project as a whole.
Okay, cool. Again, speak up so that Andres can hear.
Okay, well, let me start by saying that the owners of 110 South Main Street are present. So if there are questions I can answer, we can look at that. So anyway, in essence, the project is they are seeking an encroachment permit to be able to put a parklet out front of the newly renovated Moondog Cafe here in town. Heather and I did a lot of due diligence internally with Terry and the Marshal Service, just to try to figure out if there are any town concerns about that location for that particular parklet. We also spoke with CDOT to see if they had any concerns, and they didn't. We also went to Safeco, of course, and just checked in our code to see if this was an allowable use. In a nutshell, we found out that there weren't any legal concerns in that regard. So as part of the process to issue an encroachment permit, the board needs to make a final decision on whether or not to allow this to happen. So with that, I'll stop and see if you guys have any questions.
Okay.
So is this encroachment gonna be pulled down during the seasons, like in the wintertime? Where there's snow removal and other things?
It's built so that we can dismantle it at any time for any reason. The floors come up, so we can clean underneath. There's also, I don't know the exact name of the heating element underneath so that there's no ice or snow built up underneath.
I mean, cause we have gotten pretty large snows at times, which, I mean, if it's a temporary shelter of some sort, it may not hold up to that snow load.
Well, it's not, I mean, it's not a permanent structure. So
Right, it's a temporary structure. But, and that's what I'm saying, are you guys gonna have it open for the winter time out there, where there'll be dining outside, or?
Probably as long as we can.
As long as we could.
Until the weather gets too bad to do so.
Okay.
Yeah.
We did speak, Terry's been involved in the discussions with regard to maintenance for road and that kind of thing. He has no objections. I just confirmed that with him during the meeting. And then we also spoke to SGM, our engineers, just because this has never been done before. So we tried to cover every base to say, you know, are there any, and our engineers had absolutely no safety or traffic concerns either. So
Well, my only concern is that we're gonna close that sidewalk down and we just put a new bridge up that has a sidewalk across it that people aren't gonna be able to access unless they get out in the street.
that's correct.
So, do we delineate a sidewalk around the structure?
sidewalk.
It's
in a parking spots. So the sidewalk will be unobstructed for pedestrian access. Yeah, the sidewalk itself is not obstructed.
Okay.
Yeah, so this structure would take up 2 parking spaces if I read this
Right,
correctly.
I understand now.
Okay.
Okay, I thought it was gonna be included with the sidewalk. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, sidewalk will be obstructed.
Anyone else have any concerns?
What do you mean when they say they technically aren't meeting the off-street requirement already? Can you just explain that a little bit more?
Well, yeah, it's part of the provision in our downtown mixed-use zone and our parking requirements. They're not subject to those parking requirements because of that zone. And so basically what Safe Build is telling us is that we're already not enforcing that parking requirement. So that would not apply in this case in terms of basement limits. Does that make sense?
So what is the parking?
There is no parking requirement downtown.
Therefore, there's nothing to enforce or be
The
concerned.
downtown infill, as we used to call it, the downtown business area, that section of downtown does not require off-street parking because it's a hindrance to development of downtown commercial. When we did the update to the land use code in 2019, we took that into consideration of the downtown section of the Grand
Avenue from Mesa
from Mesa to the
to the
bridge.
this bridge.
Yeah, the bridge behind us.
Yeah.
There are no off-street parking requirements for that small district, because those buildings have been around forever. There's no way to require that, like, if the whole ever gets developed, there's no way to require off-street parking. Number one, because of how that block is already developed, and number two, because CDOT has said, we will not give you access off of Grand Avenue, period. And since they trump us, that zone
Yeah.
doesn't require off-street parking. So in this particular instance, the fact that 2 parking spaces are being taken up with this proposal does not violate our code, and is not, staff's recommendation is it's not a reason to deny the request, because they're not subject to those requirements anyway.
And you said CDOT was good with it, right?
CDOT is fine with it, our.
'Cause that is still part of-
Paul is fine with it, our land use consulting company is fine with
Okay.
it. Our public works director is fine with it. So I don't see any reason after doing my due diligence, after they all do theirs and I do mine, I don't see any reason to deny it. For the new board members and for those who've been here for a while, we don't do these very often. This is a revocable permit.
Yeah.
It is not a permanent permit. So if something happens, if it turns out that this didn't work out, if the applicant after a while is like this, either side can revoke it with notice and with procedure and that kind of thing. So which is why, again, when I'm fine with the recommendation from the recent staff report that I do think that we wouldn't hurt to try it. We've never had anything like this in town. And because.
It seems like it'd be better than the way that it was with just the 1 or 2 tables out.
Yeah,
On the
blocking the sidewalk.
It was on
You're
the-
also not
Yeah,
having people, because, we've got picnic tables, so they can sit there, they're not
Yeah.
crossing the street, they're not, and I know everyone now is like, oh, it's such a small town, but as we grow, those are things that they need to think about. So I don't have any issues.
Okay, so if nobody else has questions, I, of course, have questions. Because that's just how.
I have one question. Can you hear me?
Yes, go for it.
Yeah, the volume was a little bit low and I didn't quite hear. I heard that this is revocable, but I was curious, what does that process look like, just so I know?
It's in the
Revoked or staff vote or staff decision?
It's basically what happens is if the board wants to revoke it, we need to notify the applicant. Sorry, it's somewhere in here anyway. If the board chooses to revoke it, we notify the applicant, they can just come in. And this is, we have to give them notice.
Yeah, so we give them notice, Andres,
Here it is.
Yep.
within 10
Okay,
days.
that's perfect.
Yeah, so in the
We have to
revocable
give them a
permit,
certified letter.
in the revocable permit, it says in there, like item number 5, that kind of speaks to it. And then 6, in case they don't remove it. And then it kind of goes on from there.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
You betcha.
You know, the insurance on them.
Yeah.
Liability lapses for any reason. So there are kind of certain steps to follow, and all of that is covered in the permit.
Okay.
And this permit has been used, I think, 4 other times in town, if you're remembering correctly, when they had the half shop, which is now where Elevado is. There's one across the street that's now Kodiak RV. There's another one, and I apologize, I can't remember where it is in town. So this is that same idea.
Yeah. So the question I have though is that under 11.630 age, temporary encroachments, item 1, it says that they can easily be moved, changed, or removed by a person without the assistance of tools, machinery, and or equipment. And the way I'm looking at this design, it seems like some of those things would be needed to remove them.
So it's been a bit almost like when somebody builds a stage and they come in and things kind of snap into each other. So there would be a few pieces that would.
4 sections.
Okay, 4 sections, all right.
Not just somehow fastened to each other, but it can be easily.
Okay.
Just need some strong guys.
Strong
I think that's how we clean under as well. So.
Okay, all right. Okay.
So the whole thing is also ADA accessible as well. We'll have lights. We do plan to have some heaters so that we can go through part of the autumn anyway. You know, the idea behind it really, I mean, for us, you know, I'm from here originally, lived in Florida, been coming out to Colorado for a good 20 years with family, but you know, these are pretty common. They're great for neighborhoods. I just feel like it would be a great addition to downtown for the community.
I do too. It's just that we have to make sure that it meets our code.
Oh, absolutely.
So on the next page, it says under that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and number 2 says no service may be provided at table and chairs, and no alcohol may be sold, served, or consumed at table and chairs within the public right of way. So how did they make that happen? It's 27 of 101 is what the thing is.
2.
Yeah, and it's number 2. And
Oh, back to the staff report. Okay, sorry.
yeah, sorry.
Well, they don't currently have a liquor license, so I don't.
Right, but this says no service may be provided at table and chairs in the right of way.
So they just got to order to take it out there?
That, I would imagine so.
Okay. So that would be something that you would need to know.
So you understand what they're asking? So what it's saying in here is that you won't be able to serve people out there or serve them alcohol out there.
Yeah, so like if I'm gonna order food and I'm gonna sit outside, I've gotta order it inside and get it and then walk outside. Yeah, so, that would be something that's in our code.
Because that would be an open container permit they would need.
Well,
Yeah, but they aren't
don't have a liquor
alcohol,
license
so,
anyways.
yeah, so that part, it's not a problem, it's just that
Yeah,
sentence
it's rather
does
just be
say,
to-go orders or, yeah, takeout orders.
Right.
So they're-
yeah. And then in the revocable permit itself, in item 1, it says the fee would be waived, it would be 0. But then in, where'd it go? Yeah, and then 11, it says a sum of $1. So I just think that if we pass this, that should figure out and agree.
And we can do that. This again is the template that we used for the last 3. I
Mhm.
would say waive the $1.
Oh, I
mean,
see.
Just waive the fee. This is more to legally give them the right
Mhm.
to operate temporarily, in a right of way.
Mhm.
And being able to pivot if necessary. It would be my preference that we just not charge anything, let alone $1, because that the staff is gonna have to do a letter every year. I mean, just.
Yeah.
Just say 0.
Okay,
And the
so we'll
75
make
cents.
those agree, or whatever, yeah, okay.
That's my recommendation, but you can do what you want.
Yeah, yeah. And then in item 6, further down the page, it says, on the 3rd line, it says reestablish the park area. And maybe parking would be, yeah, because I was like, wait, where's the park? And then, do I have anything else? Nope, and that's my comments. So, yeah, the only hiccup would be, there's no reason to deny it, but it's that service outside thing.
We actually just, they're clarifying it for us. This was sent to and received from Safe Built, and we believe that they were talking about service with regard to alcohol.
But it says service and alcohol.
Okay, so
So,
Safe Built interpreted they can't serve alcohol into the town right of way. But
Well, we need clarification.
I would ask them to look at it again.
For clarification, anyway.
Well,
Because I read that.
The next line is also kind of important, I would think, for you guys. It says the use of the table and chairs may not be limited to customers of the business.
Mm-hmm.
That you would have to allow anybody to just sit at the tables and use them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it says in the thing here.
Yeah, so just some things that,
I know. So something to think about at least.
yeah. So, what?
nothing. I would say David's doing some quick reading.
That is my code.
I was just gonna say, but I don't like to put him on the spot unless we ask him to
Yeah.
prepare it, unless he's willing to speak. You can do a couple of things. This is the information that Safeville provided, so we can ask them to reinterpret, we can ask David to interpret. You can approve conditionally on that interpretation, or you can say, move this to the next agenda, bring it back to us. There are several things that you can do, so if you all want to say, you know, this is as a board, this is what we are comfortable with, or this is what we're looking for, I could maybe say, you know what, then your best course of action is this. So there are a couple of things that we can do, and a couple of ways that we can handle it. So I'm going to look to you all for consensus. And
Right.
if one says I want to approve it conditionally, and one says I want to talk about it at the next meeting, I need you all to give me consensus direction, not So different opinions.
Oh, come
please.
on.
But,
It's so much more fun that way.
So, yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
David's ready to interpret for you all.
okay.
So, 11/6/30 of the Memphis Municipal Code, the last section says, provisions specific to tables and chairs, D. In addition to other limitations of the section, for any permit issued for the placement of tables and chairs in the public right of way, subject to the following additional limitations. So it must be limited to the adjacent business with zero stood in the village shall be rented for property with the which is the village. And then here's the second one. Those services may be provided at table and chairs, and no alcohol may be sold, served, or consumed at table and chairs within the public right of way. The use of the table and chairs may not be limited to customers for business and should be available for use without limiting the public. So that is in our code. Now, effectively, because it says it references service twice, no service may be provided at tables and chairs, and then it talks specifically about alcohol. And then alcohol will be served, sold, served, or consumed by people. I'm talking about like service at a table and ordering. And then, I think that's probably your safe bill on those things. Those are,
No, safe bill interpreted that no alcohol service. So they didn't say anything about no table service. They said no liquor service because it's in the street. Basically, there was no liquor on the street. So that's how safe bill interpreted it.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily defining what the interpreter will be.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Town administrator or
I am the zoning administrator under the code. I'm happy to give you my opinion after you all provide.
I just think because it says and, it's very clearly different from
I have a question for clarification.
Absolutely.
Is the street public right of way?
Yes.
It's still considered public right of way?
Correct.
It's a
Same
state,
as same as a sidewalk?
it's a state highway.
Okay, that was my
Which is
clarification.
why, in my opinion, no liquor in the street.
For sure, for sure.
That is a big, however, that's why I interpret it that way. It makes no sense to allow temporary permits that they can't use.
Right, yeah.
So
Because I remember when we did this in the land use code, when we talked about this a few years ago, we were talking mostly about like little pop-ups on the sidewalk and stuff is what we had initially talked about. This to me is more of a bump out.
well, and this was
Like-
written pre-COVID.
Yeah, but this to,
Which is why I would interpret it differently today than I would have pre-COVID.
and yeah, I would too.
Because the expectation and the increase and change of use and the change of best business practice and the change of language due to COVID, I would just interpret this differently. Now, we can absolutely say, you know what, here's a temporary permit for you, and then discuss changes to our code. I know we don't generally do that on a one-off, but again, this was pre-COVID, and so restaurant service and pop-ups in streets weren't even
I think.
They weren't even a thing.
Yeah.
So that would be my interpretation of this.
Yeah.
Allowing me to use as much as I don't like it, the administrator discretion that I'm given as the zoning administrator, I can interpret this and say, you know what, this wasn't the intent of this code, so we're gonna give you a temporary and then we're gonna, I would, if this did not come to you, I would bring a temporary and then I would bring you guys that, hey, we need to talk about updating our land use code. Or we need to talk about updating our code because in real life, post-COVID, this changed.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to talk about this? So that's how I would handle this.
Yeah.
I mean,
And, you know.
But alcohol's still a no, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
alcohol's still a no.
I'm never going to recommend to you
Right.
alcohol allowed in the right of way.
Right.
is illegal. If I recommend that to you, that you should.
Yeah, you need to be gone.
Because that trumps us. It's
Yeah.
nothing to do with the
Yeah.
maintenance code or
Yeah.
it is alcohol in a town street.
Yeah.
Not allowed.
State
No
highway.
exceptions, no permits, no, do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, our job is to uphold the code that we have and then make any changes to it. So the I mean, we could approve it with those conditions, like follow that, this is our interpretation. We could also do a conditional approval, allowing them to do it on a test case basis while we review, and potentially modify our code. Because this is the first time.
It's the
You
first
know?
time since COVID, actually, I think this is the first.
Cindy, can I jump in here real fast?
You bet.
I let Heather and Nick know that I need to jump off of the call right now, but, Cindy, I would be on board with everything you've been saying so far, that, I agree that it's our job to uphold the code as it's written, and I would agree that this use seems in conflict, just unintentionally, and, we should make sure that the code matches the use and doesn't hinder their operation of the bump out or whatever we're calling it. I have to jump off the call, but I would be in favor of approving it with conditions or making sure that we can make it match the intended use.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, y'all, take care.
Okay, bye. So let the record show that he left the meeting at this point. All right. So we have, you know, his position. So if there's any more discussion, let's.
Yeah, just one more. So number 9, they're indemnifying the town and almost harmless. But then at number 8, 150,000 seems pretty low for insurance. And my general liability is $1 million at the office. So is there any reason that we should be concerned about that since they're indemnifying the town?
That's how we came from, the accidents. There was, an injury on town property. So that's my recollection why that amount was in there.
I think that's what.
Because I mean, $1 million liability, it's not very expensive for, I mean, not for me, $600 a year for my office or something like that.
I think that's the amount that special events using public right-of-way require,
That's the
if I recall.
That's the amount that's.
Oh, okay, okay.
Insurance authority under this is actually wants to make a lot of insurance. That's $150,000 for each person, $600,000 for one accident, property damage. Insurance with a minimum of $100,000 for
Okay.
Do you want us to? So a couple things. Number one, it has to stay this way for today, because that's what's in the Lancaster Municipal Code.
Right.
Depending on how you as a board choose to move forward, if you do, for example, a conditional, and say conditional while rotating our code, I can research that and find out what Sursa's suggestion requirement is for that. If we're gonna move forward and do code research, I can add that to the list of items that I research with Sursa. Because we usually use their recommendations, they're our insurance companies.
Yeah.
I can, if you're gonna move forward with the conditional while rotating code, I will add that item, Daniel, to the list of items that I research.
Yeah.
Project doesn't move forward, I won't.
Okay.
But I have a note here to research with Sursa.
Yeah. And is that in the text or is it in the fee schedule? Or I guess it would be in the text.
It's text. Yeah, it's text.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else? No? Okay. I would entertain a motion if anybody wants to.
I wouldn't know how to
I move we approve ordinance 781, series 2024, an ordinance approving revocable permit number 2024-1 for an encroachment in a public street, conditional upon further research on our code. Is that how you want me to word it?
Yes.
Or make it, how do you want me to word this? This, I guess, the way.
So I can issue a permit, a temporary permit,
I think we
and
should,
allow it to run concurrent with the research, discussion, and potential code updates.
yes,
That.
that thing.
Okay, we have that motion.
That will be the motion. Somebody say so moved, and somebody second that, please.
So moved.
Because this comes down to their permit today.
Yeah.
That allows them to operate.
Thank you.
While we're updating our code and seeing how it works in real life and what do we want to do and updating, researching, updating insurance limits and that kind of thing. So it allows them to operate and it allows us to say, hey, post-COVID, how is this going down? And give a little bit of it. Does that work for you? Okay.
Yep, okay, so we have a motion. Yes, so we have a motion and a second. Will you please call the roll? Or vote?
Pro Tem Brett McWhorter.
Aye.
Trustee David King.
Aye.
Trustee Daniel Minnick.
Aye.
Trustee Richard Tucker.
All right, it passes.
Thank you for bearing with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just have to cross our T's and dot our I's, and this looks really gorgeous, so,
Thank you, looking forward to it.
yeah. All right.
Do we wait for it to leave the door until it comes back in?
Yeah.
You can tell them they can come back in too.
Yeah, have Nick and,
We got Nick out there panicking.
yeah.
He's like,
They- they
That was
got-
the contract.
He's over there trying to grab Justin's gun.
Just all walk out. Oh, it's him.
But I think we did mess with Ed once.
You messed with
I think-
me.
Oh, yeah, was
You all were laughing when I came back in.
right? Okay, all right. Thank you, Nick, for your patience. All right, so that is approved, the encroachment ordinance, upon certain conditions as stated. And next up is noxious weed municipal code update discussion.
So, okay, so we've talked about weed abatement in town rights of way. And at the same time, there has been new legislation around the Colorado Noxious Weed Act. I think we talked about this, and I apologize, I don't remember if it was a retreat or a workshop, but it was at a publicly noticed meeting. With regard to a couple of things. The new legislation requires a noxious weed advisory board. And there were a couple of things discussed. Do we want to share with Montezuma County? How do we want to handle this? And it was ultimately consensus at that time that the Board of Trustees will act as the MACUS, Noxious Weed Advisory Board. So I have drafted, and this will ultimately go to David to make it professional and show legal, but so basically there's one section which states the new municipal code section, which says that the Board of Trustees is the new noxious weed advisory board. That is not currently in our code, it didn't exist, so this is a recommended amendment to our municipal code. The second piece of that for me, and then David will have some things to bring to your attention, our IPM, and we've talked about this, our IPM is expiring in 2025. And I think it was the retreat, the consensus was, let that expire and put anything that we want to do into our municipal code. Do not have a separate document. We need to go to our code. It hasn't worked in the past, so I have asked for some changes for your consideration and your input, because again, I need more than just one person, but to say changes to our existing code is we have a section in our existing code that deals with weeds and brush. So I've given you a track change that says all noxious weeds on the state list, updated legislation language, all of this needs to be included. And at the same time, we need to potentially make it easier to enforce. Because what we have now just says the growth of weeds, brush, and rubbish is not allowed.
The whole town's
What does
that.
that mean? So it's very, very subjective, and it's very difficult to enforce. From a code enforcement standpoint, from a law enforcement standpoint. So we're saying the growth of weeds and brush over 24 inches, anything 2 feet high, can't have it. That's a sample if you want something higher or lower or whatever, but in order for staff to effectively enforce this section of our code, we need a little bit more hard data. Because I might not like anything over 6 inches, but you may have a citizen who's like, but it's beautiful and it's, yes, we know it's a noxious weed, but it's, so we're looking for a little bit more clarification. This is only a suggestion. First time you guys have seen it, you can write it, just to kick off the discussion. And then the other thing that I did was I included the actual legislation, the new Colorado Noxious Act legislation for you all. But I think David was saying there are some things that this legislation will also require that we put in our municipal code. So I don't know if you want to touch on this now. If you want us to draft an actual draft ordinance for you to see, you see the legislation's pretty expensive. I'm just looking for a little bit of feedback. Do you want to decide about what you want to call their attention, or do you want to do that in an ordinance at the next meeting?
I think, well, I think Heather covered it well. So I think what we should do is probably bring an ordinance and do it. But just know that like the bulk of the ordinance is going to be from what Heather included in the packet on these, the Colorado Noxious Weed Management Act. Right? It's the Colorado Noxious Weed Act. So what the ordinance would do would be to include the portions of this legislation that tells municipalities what it's required to do with respect to noxious weeds, and include all the parts of it that are applicable to municipalities or the state's making us do, and then giving you guys a chance to look it over and in an ordinance form. But what I can see is probably including the bulk of everything in one in one article of code under the noxious weed management. Just basically covering base in the state statute what we have to do. So specifically, I think our noxious weed, our current plan just applies to parks. And what we're going to do would apply to
Residential.
everything within the town, really.
Residential.
It applies to the state land in the town under the south.
How does Montezuma?
I'll bring you something. It sounds like maybe the first meeting in July that we'll have something for you because the last meeting in June probably not a great meeting to do something.
So Heather, would that mean we'd have to brush hog like the airport property since we own that?
It's only within the town.
Right.
We're responsible for everything in the town, but we would also be responsible for our property that's located in the county that we own. We would also be responsible for managing that property. Like we own airport property, we own our property. So we would also be responsible, those properties also fall under this. So we would be responsible for that as well.
Okay.
However, the code changes would only apply to everything inside.
Yeah. We need to meet the county code for, our properties.
Understood.
Yeah. Any comments, questions, concerns, suggestions?
I think 2 feet is a little much.
What?
I
think
2 feet is too tall?
Too tall?
Is what he's saying?
That's
Just
not in statute.
I mean, that's really not horribly tall.
in
But
town it is
It's
though.
at your knee height, so, I mean, it's whatever you guys decide. I mean, there's some vacant fields out there that people just don't get to too.
Yeah, I mean, I think 2 feet is
That's
kind
in town, so.
I tend to agree.
of a little crazy.
Although there are some in my yard right now.
Well, is brush defined? Like, my peonies, they're over 2 feet tall, my rose bushes are over 2 feet
Peonies,
tall.
yeah.
I assume
Well,
that those go.
But they're not on the.
But they're not on the
Right, but they're not on the noxious
Well,
weed
this says
list.
growth of weeds and brush.
Yeah, so I think that's why you're talking about clarifying it with the
Yeah.
ordinance, right?
True.
Yeah, like, what do we mean by
It's
brush?
pretty subjective.
Yeah.
And you know what, honestly, I just did a quick thinking, if I was a citizen,
Mhm.
so I got on our code. So I got on our code and I went to definitions, and there's no definition of brush.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Google, what's the definition of brush? Because, and that's what I was just asking David, why are we putting state statute language in our municipal code? Our
Yeah.
code is to amend statute or anything that's not referenced in statute.
Mhm.
Like his point was, honestly, these people aren't gonna go to statute.
Right.
And weeds and brush is
I mean,
a
I'd be,
recurring issue that we want to address.
Yeah.
So, okay. But I'm going to, as the administrator, I'm going to default. If the definition is in our code, that's the one that we use.
Mhm.
If the definition is not in our code, we use the definition of any reasonable person. And that's not something that I decided, that's just how
Mhm.
interpretation works. And so you're gonna use the definition that a reasonable person uses. So you guys can go as far down the rabbit hole as you want on this, but what I would caution you is if you put it in here and you are extremely specific, staff will enforce it.
Yeah.
And there will be absolutely no leeway in your discretion.
Yeah.
So right now, there is some discretion, and yes, that's difficult, which is why instead of maybe a definition of brush, we're looking for height, because if it's a flowering bush that is not on the noxious weed list, we're not going to treat that as weeds and brush. Again, and the other piece of this is we are also starting to encourage more natural landscaping and xeriscaping. I'm thinking of one area in particular that in town, technically it's scrub oak and it's show cherry and it's that kind of thing, but it's also very difficult because the adjacent property owners are very convinced that that's landscaping. And so we have not cleared that alley.
Well, and I think
again, we have a little bit of discretion.
yeah, well, and I think we need to also be cognizant of wildfire.
Yes.
You know, like
So,
if it's a bunch of oak brush and it's out of control or whatever, you know, it poses
so
a
if they're
fire.
out there and turning it.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, so this is a tough one for you guys, you know, like the sign code is, it's always gonna be difficult.
yeah, you would think common sense would override, but it's a tough deal, cause some
Yeah.
people think it's, you know,
Common sense.
like Cindy and them think 2 feet's high, you know, it's probably too high, but 18 inches, I mean, that's,
I mean, given that we're already understaffed too in the public works department, I'm nervous about putting anything in place that's gonna create more work.
Well, and this is more,
Public
honestly,
safety.
this is more for code enforcement purposes.
Mhm.
And again, we are reactive
Yeah.
we are reactive on code enforcement. So, and this was brought up, we get calls that says, my neighbor needs to brush and trash on their property. So when we go out there and they say, well, no, it's xeriscape, or no, it's natural landscaping, or, oh, I'll get to it eventually, or no, it's not. We need a little bit more clarification, but I would caution maybe going down that rabbit hole of
Yeah.
defining brush and talking about flowering bushes.
Yeah.
I think And once David has a draft ordinance for us, and we will, like, do you want to do 24 inches or 18? I'm gonna run it by staff.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, is this something you can enforce? Is this something you can interpret? Is this a problem with
Yeah.
your department or whatever? And ask for their feedback and then we'll.
Right. Well, and it's a delicate balance between you needing criteria so that you can enforce, and then us falling down the rabbit hole. I'm sort of having a PTSD reaction based on like animals in town. Oh, that was a nightmare. I think it took us, 15 years to figure something out?
Well, and it was, that nightmare was one instance caused multiple years of discussion and argument and trying to enforce code and changes to the code and tweaking the code. And so we do have to enforce whatever is in the code. But I do think that one of my roles is to say, okay, here's what staff needs in this particular instance. Here's something else you guys can consider, and then we turn.
Yeah.
So what staff needs here is a
Yeah. Okay.
more often than anything else when we're dealing with this.
Yeah. So let's give a little direction here. Brent and I both think that 2 feet might be a bit tall.
I'm okay with 18 inches.
18? What about?
I'm pretty indifferent on that specific.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure, you know, what height, I mean, 2 feet seems a little tall.
Yeah, okay.
I'm fine with 18.
18, okay. So
So
we're,
consensus for the draft ordinance, and again, you're not even adopting anything.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
So start with 18 inches, and when David has given us a draft.
Does the county have any direction on, I mean, because we had the Boyle Park thing in the county, it was explained to me, the county came in and said something about the lease of Boyle Park, and so how did that happen, and how does that
was
play into what's
actually-
going on here?
We had, and still have some weeds actively growing in the park that are on the Class A and B noxious weed list. That's something different than just that. This'll not, I used to know exactly what was on that list. This'll bindweed.
Or Russian knapweed.
Russian knapweed.
But there are some things that are in our park that are on the state noxious weed list that we are required, outside of even this discussion, we are required to eradicate.
Yeah, Weeds of the Southwest got them in the book, The Weeds of the Southwest.
what?
Sorry?
The Weeds of the Southwest is the book that we used at CEDA.
Okay.
And it does have the Class A noxious weed. They have a list of them.
And that, one of the reasons that we reference the state noxious weed list is because they change it. So when it comes up, we get online at that time, review the list. If we're getting complaints or we're getting feedback, what I do is I get online the day that I get that feedback and I look at what's on the list. Because they have changed it and we don't always get it. So that's why we just reference the list in our code rather than listing those plans out. So that anytime somebody comes and says you're not in compliance, I can go look at that list and be like, they did it 2 months ago. And then we just enforce what's on that list.
Yeah.
So I have a couple things.
Okay.
At least once in section 21140, it looks like maybe this was copied over from tree board. Yeah, so just kind of, when you're writing it up for us, just take a look at that, because I feel like it was done a couple times maybe, or just maybe I read it twice. And then in section 7440, collection and lien, there's a lot of his's and hims, or a couple of them anyway, and it's not always a his or a him. So I think putting they or their would probably be more modern. Anybody have any issues with those?
Nope.
Okay. I tend to be really bossy, so, you know, call me on it.
We leave that punctuation and stuff to you.
Yeah, well, sometimes I'm wrong. Okay, anything else? Staff, do you guys think that takes care of it, or do you have other questions? Other things you want us to consider in here?
When you're talking about the height of weeds, are you talking nauseous weeds? Or are you talking anything over 2 feet?
18 inches.
18 inches.
Are you talking anything over 18 inches?
Weeds and brush.
Weeds and brush, and rubbish.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and then for the public side, since I do the marshal's office as the code enforcement, it's hard to eyeball 18 inches.
True.
I can't, that's breaking privilege. So, I mean, I can't go on somebody's property and measure the brush or the weeds.
You asked for a height limit, what would work for you?
Well, if you did 16, it's 12 plus 4. So you can do that. I mean, we all have 17-inch rims on our trucks. And look at my rim and look at it.
17?
Something like
I got 20 inch.
16, something that is
I got you.
easily, you can look at something on a vehicle, or you can look at fire hydrant, you can look at something that we can measure as an actual.
But none of those measurements are constant.
Well, but
I mean, a fire hydrant's not constant.
no, but if we did well, and I see your point, Richard, but I mean, even if we did a stop sign where you can go out the holes on there.
Yeah.
And have an idea. I just, if we had something that would be somewhat where we could look from the roadway and say that appears, no matter what, even if it's 18 inches,
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna wait until it's 2 feet to tell them.
Well, as good mailboxes are 41 to 45 inches per postal code. You could say 24 inches if you see it more than half on the post. Take them out.
That's all I'm asking is like, when you're thinking about setting that.
Yeah. How can we
So are you saying 24 inches is better for you to recognize?
No, I'm just saying if you did 16 or 20, even 24 a foot.
I mean,
don't
16
care.
was my first thought.
18
I was just going with whatever Richard
But
said.
It's so arbitrary.
18 is just a foot and a half.
Well,
So,
I mean,
so
16
as you're writing
inches.
the ordinance, this is stuff maybe Heather and Terry and you guys can try to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah, while you guys are thinking about it, you're in a set ordinance, so.
I feel like the lower we go,
In regards to Cottonwood,
airport property, Cottonwood.
Well, I just look at
I guess,
18.
yeah, never mind.
18 is a pretty good deal because you know what? There's vacant lots next to me that, I mean, I'll guarantee the weeds are taller than that.
yeah.
I mean, but
And all they've got to do is come out and brush hog it or mow it, you know.
It goes back to discretion, because to Terry's point, Cottonwood is considered open space. So how do you, or we, again, if I'm gonna be asked to enforce this, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say your vacant property needs to comply with the code. Cottonwood is open space and it's natural landscape. And we have people that we haven't been able to enforce this at all because it's natural landscaping. I like a little square postage stamp lawn, so I might think that looks messy, but I don't get to enforce that. If they come back and say it's natural landscaping, it's xeriscape, we're allowing it to grow, we are not making them cut it down. Now, noxious weeds are kind of a separate issue, but to Terry's point, I am going to not require that cottonwood be cut because it's open space and it's natural landscaping. I will send an email to somebody's front yard that has highways and brush, trash, whatever. They are going to get a letter. That's how I'm making those distinctions, because there is no other way to address every single instance in the country.
well, and
So
And it seems
Unless
like
we
it's,
don't enforce weeds at all, or unless we enforce only noxious weeds, or, so,
I mean, but what that sounds to me is it's okay for the town to do it, but it's not okay for the citizens, is what you're saying.
and I absolutely agree with you, because I'm choosing.
I mean, that's what it's saying.
I'm choosing between open space and the wetlands that we don't touch at Cottonwood Park
Right.
Yeah.
versus somebody's front yard that we can see.
Or somebody's vacant lot.
But what if the citizen just says, this is my version of open space?
Then I do nothing, because I can't.
Yeah.
So,
In terms of the measuring, I know there's range finders where you can it's sort of like binoculars, and it can tell the distance of something, I think. There might be a height one, a height finder, I don't know.
I'm gonna actually ask if we can table this, only because it sounds like we're getting more into,
The weeds?
Discussion. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
we're
it
getting
sounds like
into
we're
the
getting
weeds.
more into a philosophical discussion, as to how much, what we will do, or
Yeah.
this
It's
is
man-made.
a little bit more different than just, look, legislation update your code, we're getting.
Yeah.
So,
I guess,
unless or until, are you all okay if we just maybe put this on a workshop?
I feel like we need more direction.
Sure.
Yeah.
I guess
Cindy.
it also got
Feels
a
like
little
the stray
bit,
dog situation all
it's
over
just
again.
it was a little confusing the way that was written too, because in the title, it's noxious weed update. And then there's also
Weeds and brush.
also the other stuff in there too. So I think maybe if we talk about them separately so that we're not discussing, we're not crossing the lines of noxious weed talking versus town enforcement of all weeds,
You know, I like that.
Nuisance.
of like the nuisance,
Yeah,
like the municipal code.
Maybe we ought to have two different codes for.
Because we were talking about the noxious weed legislative update, and then we were also talking about the municipal code brush
maybe-
stuff.
Okay.
And maybe there are two codes for that or something.
Yeah.
I just,
That's
to
a
me,
good
that
point.
was, that's just, it's hard to delineate between the two sometimes.
Right, if they're mixed together.
If they're in the same discussion.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
And
So I would say noxious is going to basically default to statute.
Yeah, pretty much.
With noxious weeds.
Yes.
On the A&B list, we're gonna follow statute, we're gonna do what statute says to do with the Colorado Noxious Weed Act.
Right.
So, maybe David can work on that section of the ordinance. And then we can talk about town philosophy surrounding nuisance weeds and brush at a workshop.
Right.
Yes, and as it pertains to code
That's
enforcement.
where we can throw Cottonwood Park in and say, hey, it's open space.
Yeah.
It's next to a waterway, it's, all this other stuff is the reason why we don't cut certain sections of it.
Yeah, and I agree with what Daniel said earlier about come up with some specific height measurements that would be easy to gauge from off property.
Yeah, I will ask, I'll ask you. Okay.
Okay, and maybe do some research on it.
Just so we have some
little
options.
machine that,
Okay.
you know.
Because that way we're not just arbitrarily picking a number and then hoping they can figure that out.
Because there's laser levels and all kinds of things now.
Well,
And I don't know.
maybe
I'm
Justin,
sorry, and that's where, okay, I will do some research and then I'm gonna bring in laser levels. Because, I mean, no offense, but if you guys are telling us laser level, that sends me a message as to how specific you want us to be in code enforcement.
Well, I'm
No.
wondering.
So I mean.
Well, that's just
I'm not
me.
Sure.
What if, can we just say approximately knee height? Because you can measure that from the roadway and go.
So, we can absolutely do that, and then,
or give,
approximately, yeah.
or give him a deal, 18 to 24 inches or 18,
Yeah, range.
18 to 20 or whatever.
1 to 2 feet in some discretion.
Sorry, Justin.
Yeah, let me do some research.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, maybe what other communities do.
Well, you can try to define open space or whatever other issues might be.
So David's gonna work on specifically noxious weeds.
Okay.
To get that, and then We'll revisit this.
Great. I like it.
It's a loose dog issue all
Why
over
is
again.
every conversation we talk about weeds?
I know.
It's so.
I'm so tired of getting in the weeds about weed. Okay.
All right.
All right, moving on.
Oh,
TBD, noxious weeds will be separated from nuisance brush and plants. Okay, so Resolution 13, Series 2024, GOCO grant for Boyle Park upgrades.
Yeah, we've been talking about upgrades to Willow Park for a while. And we would like to apply for a local grant, and in order to apply for the grant, they require a resolution. So the resolution template came directly from the website, and I personalized it for you all. And then the other thing that I included, just as kind of a, hey, here's an update or a reminder for you, is I pulled information out of our Parks and Trails and Master Plan that was revised and adopted last year. So I included the budget from that Parks and Trails Master Plan, and then I included these sections of the master plan that specifically relate to our work.
And you just need a recommendation that if we get the grant, you can sign for it.
Yes.
Any
I don't
discussion?
know if anybody has any questions or anything.
Wait, is there gonna be a splash pad?
It's not a big one.
What?
There's no
Splash
splash
pad.
pad in phase one.
That'd be so.
Thank God.
My 7-year-old really wanted to know.
I would have been over there today.
I want a splash pad.
I almost need one today.
Yeah, really. You find us all laying out in the splash pad, cooling off. Okay, so if there's no comments, questions, concerns, discussion, I will entertain a motion.
I move we approve Resolution 13, Series 2024, supporting the grant application for the 2024 Community Impact Grant from the State Board of the Great Outdoors Colorado Trust Fund and the completion of Boyle Park upgrades, and if the grant is awarded, authorize the town administrator to execute the grant contract.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Will the clerk please call the vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Brett McWhirter.
Aye.
Trustee David Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Daniel Henning.
Aye.
Trustee McManning.
Aye.
Trustee Richard Turcott.
Aye.
All right, passes. Moving right along, sidewalk cost share program discussion.
Sounds like another long one.
Sorry, Nick.
No, you're good. I'm gonna recuse myself on this one too, because
Why, you gotta stop working in town.
we've had a financial interest on previous projects, we got new projects.
Okay,
Well, yeah.
Well, it's just a discussion.
Well, you all have actually authorized me to just approve these applications. There was a, once you get 10,000, stop. But then there was also but we need sidewalks. So I didn't even anticipate turning down sidewalk cost share for this year. For me, that would just be we advertise this to our citizens. We go over budget this year, we go over budget this year, next year we amend the budget, we discuss during budget. But what I was asking was, do you want us to be proactive on sidewalk code enforcement? I have heard or received several addresses where trustees have said, I need this, I want you to go look at this, I want you to do code enforcement on this. So, do we, I
would say yes.
Decision or whatever, but do you want me to proactively enforce sidewalk code knowing that we're already at budget on that? Or do you want me to wait until next year and enforce that sidewalk code when the line item resets itself? And I guess, should I deny future sidewalk cost share application? Should I put something in the public that says cost share is done, but you're still gonna have to fix your sidewalk? I don't mind doing whatever it is you want to do, but we just revamped this program, so I want to make sure that the board is aware.
We've already went to $10,000?
$10,000.
So that's all it took was 2 applicants.
Yeah.
We got a lot of sidewalks to fix, and we're just gonna do 10,000 a year, seems like,
Well, this
what
is the
choice do we
caution.
have other than
This is
proactively?
the caution.
This is just the caution, where we tell them if you replace your sidewalk, we'll pay 15% up to $10,000 versus numbers.
So, yeah, I understand, I'm just saying, it seems like the problem, or the issue with the sidewalks is much larger than what we're setting aside for it, so I don't see how
We used to do $750 max.
Yeah, and so did we take that out, the 750? Okay,
Yeah,
because it's not reality.
Yeah, you
Because-
guys figured out and said we'll do 50% of the project.
We never had anybody.
Okay.
Yeah, and we never had anybody
That
bite
price.
us. And then all of a sudden, now we do 50%. People are,
Honestly, I think we should. I think we need to,
they're bad in some
we
areas.
should enforce. There are some really unsafe sidewalk situations. And I mean, I have theoretically full control of my body and eyes, and I trip over stuff. And so I think that if we just look the other way,
we're just as guilty as they are.
yeah, we're perpetuating a
Some of them are completely gone.
bad
It's the
situation.
number one thing I hear about.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
So
other
I should
issue.
proactively enforce, if
Hmm?
that's consensus. My other
Mhm.
question is, and again, I'll make notes and you guys will see budget. In every year in December, we do a budget amendment if it's required. Do you want, are you okay with us over expending in that line item, going over the 10,000, continuing the sidewalk caution? Or do I proactively enforce and say, sorry, this person for serving that line item instead?
I think that's kind of where we got to go for now, and then next year maybe we put more money in it.
It'll make people more interested next year due to cost share. or-
Right, and instead of doing a percentage, maybe we ought to do a dollar figure. You know, like $2,500 or $3,000 or.
Well, we did the 750 before.
Right, but $750, you can't even buy a yard of concrete for that.
Well, I know, that's why we changed it to 50% because we got nobody ever doing it.
Right,
Yeah.
but now we had two
But-
applicants.
So my question, I guess, is with the two applicants that we did, were they both about $5,000 each or no? So we had,
I thought, didn't you have,
On there 'cause I cut it.
Oh, okay. So you'll see one of them in bills and claims in June. One of them was 78, because we hit our $10,000 max. So that one was 71 or 7,800, and then the first one was 28 or 23.
okay.
Our share or
Our share.
our share of it?
50% share.
Yeah, and I think we left it at 10,000 this year because we had never had anybody use it before.
Well, and we had no
So-
clue of how much really
Right,
it was going to
It was a
take.
placeholder.
Like, it was a placeholder
Yeah.
amount.
Well,
I would be okay with extending it this year,
mhm.
since it is kind of our pilot year. And then doing a budget amendment,
And
Yeah.
then raising the budget for it next.
and then keeping detailed notes of how much, like, each person applied for it. And then maybe next year when we look at it, or for this year when we look at it for budget season, we kind of have a ballpark figure of maybe what each person is spending. And then maybe we go to a dollar figure of up to $3,500 or something per project.
Mhm.
Or 5,000 or
Oh,
something.
yeah, but based
Yeah.
off of the data, not off of an arbitrary number that we're just
Right.
figuring out, you know?
Yeah,
And then we maybe put in, say, $15,000 or something.
Well,
But then we know that at least will give us 5 people or six people
Or
each year.
Or if the board had a goal, say, hey, we want to fix 6 sidewalks a year, then, so we put 30 grand in it and give them
Yeah.
$5,000, you know, or something, that would
Yeah.
help.
But I think that that's a better way of using the data to actually
Yeah.
tailor this program.
yeah.
And the only way we're gonna get the data is if we actually get people to do it.
Right. And
Do we have an idea of the scope of how many sidewalks we need to fix? I mean, because I walk the town all the time, and it seems like
A lot.
we've got a lot of sidewalks that need to be fixed. And $10,000 seems like a drop in the bucket.
Mhm.
I have a list on Valor that Carrie and Justin, I think, put together for me. And it's extensive.
So how, are we gonna be able to absorb this much matching funds, or is this something that eventually we're gonna have to put on the property owners that have not been keeping up the sidewalks?
That I think is going to be what I would recommend that. I would recommend that we first come, first serve. This is what you get. And we're on money, sorry, first come, first serve.
But that also leans into the fact that, well, I'm not gonna do it this year, I'm gonna do it next year.
However, I also think that we should put a lower cap in. The municipal code states that the adjacent property owner is responsible for their sidewalk.
Right.
I'm sorry that it's expensive, and I'm sorry that it's difficult. But
Part owner of the property.
Yeah.
your property is, you're responsible as a property owner.
Yeah.
So for this year, I can see, because it was just drastically changed, I can see saying, you know what, go ahead and proactively enforce and spend the money this year. But if that's the direction during budget talks, I'm gonna be like, look, this is what we can afford to do, and I would strongly recommend that you allow us in February of next year to say sidewalk cost share, first come, first serve, maximum.
Yeah.
And start doing that public outreach.
Yeah, and I think that this,
Toward the citizens.
after this year, that's it for this. Like, we cap it after this year.
That would be my suggestion to kind of allow the citizens to get used to the new program and use it this year and do as many as we can this year with regard to code enforcement. And then next year say, look, we did the pilot, it worked out great, first come, first serve, here's the town budget for this line, first do it.
So then are we gonna enforce any sidewalk improvements this year beyond the 10,000? Are we gonna give them time to wait? How long are we gonna go, and how many are we gonna enforce?
Go ahead and proactively enforce. So the ones that I've already received, or the ones that are sitting on my desk, I'm gonna start the code enforcement process for those property owners.
I absolutely support proactive enforcement because ADA
ADA
keeps
guy.
me up at night, and I worry about liability, not just for Mancus, but CDOT, any town I walk through. Because there's a lot of ADA issues.
Yeah. Now, because we're having a big project coming up on Grand, we're not, like, it would be silly to enforce
Grand Avenue
right now that street, or help me with
Well,
that.
that's kind of it. I'm not gonna do a lot of work on Grant. There was something that was extremely, extremely bad, and that code enforcement actually started prior to the CDOT approval of the project. So we did get something done on Grant through the code enforcement process. But I will take the addresses that I received and asked to talk to code enforcement on. None of them are on Grant.
Okay.
And I would start there. Because I have to have a place to start as well. So I actually have a list, and I would just send letters to those.
Yeah, start working on the list and.
Yeah.
So if the consensus is yes, do proactive code enforcement, and we also understand that we're going to be able to budget on this line item this year, that's the direction that I would take.
Yeah. Okay, Richard?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Got it.
Consensus of everybody who's here.
2025 budget discussion.
Oh, I have a question before we move on. It's in the same vein. Have we had anybody use the tree?
I don't think I've had any answer for this year.
Okay, so we might just move that budget over.
So staff, department heads get a line item budget for their purposes, but for the board purpose and state budgeting purposes, we do not line item budget. Revenue is, so we can internally shuffle stuff around, staff needs to, but yeah, we don't want to line item budget. That's.
Yeah, no.
That's so
Just a thought.
unwieldy. Okay, all right, so you've got a little bit of direction there. Community intervention program discussion.
We just need a little bit of feedback. For the newer members, or just to refresh everybody's memory, so the Vegas Marshal's Office, Justin spearheaded this project going in Congress. He worked with Montgomery County and various entities to get the community intervention program done. I guess I should start with, does everybody know what the community intervention program is? Okay. So it's been managed, once it got off the ground, it was managed by Montgomery County because it's a county-wide program. It started with their emergency manager, so I don't know if you remember, Jim Spratland would come occasionally and give you guys updates and Sunday and that kind of thing. It's been moved over to the health department at Montgomery County to manage the program. And the future's a bit uncertain. So.
Because of funding?
Because of our relationships?
No, I honestly have heard that it's just the county is not going to contribute general fund dollars to the program.
Got it.
And
So it is funding.
with that comes staff time and some other stuff. So what I want to know, or what I need to know, because Justin is, we want to do our due diligence, we want different options for you all to consider. Is this still a priority of the board for us? If it is, we will continue to work and research and say, you know what, here's option A, option B, and option C. We would love you to pick this option, but I want to know that we had a significant change since in board, since this program started a couple of years ago. So what I want to know is this still a priority of the board?
So as a county, what do you think? What's their reason for?
I do not know. We've had a couple of meetings, and what I'm being told is Montezuma County will not contribute general fund dollars to this project. When I tried to clarify a little bit more, that includes staff. So
That's so sad because it's a good program, right? I mean,
That was
it's
my next question.
yeah, it's been working, right?
Yeah, and every law enforcement agency supports it. City of Cortez supports it. Town of Dolores supports it.
Well, law enforcement, they're the ones experiencing
Well, they're the ones
most of it, right?
Yeah.
They deal with it daily.
Yeah.
So, and there's been a couple of public meetings on it, like at the health department level, and there have been some workshop discussions and stuff at the county level. So I guess I just, and Justin has taken the lead, and we've got a couple of meetings set up with the current contract employees like Access and Cortez Fire and stuff, just to do a little bit more research on our end. But I guess, we could spend a lot of time and a lot of money on this, and then we come back to you and you're like, no, I don't like any of those options. So I just wanted to get a feel for how important, where you prioritize this, I guess. Because last time it was kind of like, housing and community intervention program.
Yeah.
When it was being talked about before it was started, kind of thing. It was a high priority of the board, and you guys were willing to allocate money to the project. So I guess I'm just looking for a little bit of feedback so I know which way we're done.
Do we have any data on within our town borders how many people have been?
77 in the last 2 years.
77.
It's a lot.
So I say that's a big priority.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people
Is
for a little.
that within the town limits, Justin, or is that within the?
Town limits. We are a 4% user of the total program.
4%?
4% of the total program.
Wow, it's a lot of people.
City of Cortez is 81%. County is 14, us 4, and then
Dolores
is 2.
Okay.
So if my math's right on that, but based on the meetings, that's what I remember. But in the 2 years, 77 residents. Again, some of those are going to be repeat users.
Sure.
But 77 in 24 months is a pretty high number for us.
Yeah.
So if it's a priority, then Justin and I will continue to spend kind of some time in capacity, not dollars, that will need to come to you, but we will spend time in capacity doing a little bit of research, doing some due diligence, coming up with some potential suggestions. If it goes away, this is what we.
So what do you think our options are? Just
I
off
do
top,
not know.
off the top of
I
your
don't
head.
want to throw something out.
Yeah.
That may be wrong.
I mean, is there funding for this at the state level where?
There's absolutely funding opportunities, both federal and state level. There's also maybe some local funding opportunities through ISOR and that kind of thing. So funding wise, yeah, I know there's funding available, but as far as what direction do we go?
Right.
And in October or whenever we need to make a decision, I don't have anything firm. I haven't done enough research to be able to confidently tell you, here's options, here's options, here's options.
Well, I mean, if we help half of the 77, that's 35 people. I mean, I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I think being that Justin's the one that experienced a lot of it, he thinks it's a priority, I would defer to that.
Yeah. So, Richard, priority?
I think it's a priority. I mean, if, 77, I mean, if we saved half of it, that's 37 people or 36 people.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah.
So we'll continue to spend my time, I just wanted to make sure from a capacity and time standpoint, you guys were.
Yeah. All right. Resolution 14, Series 2024, Town of Minka sponsorship of Region 9 for SIRSA.
With SIRSA. With SIRSA, not for SIRSA.
Oh, on the agenda it says for SIRSA.
Yeah, but on the deal it says with.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
On the staff.
With SIRSA. All right.
Oh, sorry, I thought you guys were just moving into discussion.
Well, yeah, it seems like a pretty easy one, right? I mean, there's no impact to us.
Region 9's
and
asked,
just-
they've done their due diligence, they need to be sponsored. COG is a member, so COG can't sponsor them because it's conflict of interest. So, doesn't hurt us liability, contractually or financially. Absolutely.
Great. So moved.
All right. So we have a motion. We have a second. All right. We have a motion and a second by Trustee McWhorter. And Mayor Pro Tem. Oh my gosh.
And roll call.
Committed the sin. Sorry about that. Will the clerk call the vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Fred McWhorter.
Aye.
Trustee David Payne.
Aye.
Trustee Daniel Hennett.
Aye.
Trustee Nick Manning.
Aye.
Trustee Richard Phillips.
Aye.
Sure, show me up. Okay, so passes. Right on.
Cool.
All right, so the next thing on our agenda is the discussion on items for the June 26th meeting, and workshop is canceled, and public hearing, minor subdivision / lot consolidation at 201 South Walnut. Anything else?
There are a couple of items that we'll be adding post, right? Items. And Jason and Justin are working on that. I will not be at this meeting, so you'll see staff reports from Jason on this public hearing. You'll see staff reports from Jason and or Justin on the SRO grant application. You will see a staff report from Justin on the Bulletproof Vest grant. And that's all I can think of off the top of my head. If something comes up that doesn't require my attendance or information, and that will go on there. But the only other question I have is on audience business. So, no.
I'm a no.
Okay.
Okay.
We've given them money multiple times now.
And we're continuing to give
And we
them
continue to give them tax money.
the lodger.
Next year is like the last year of the trial period.
But I have a hard time floating them more money for a feasibility study about are they gonna have enough money to run a organization?
Or run a building.
Or run a building?
Fair argument.
Yeah. David, thoughts?
Nothing more than has been said.
Okay. Richard?
No, I'm with Brent. I mean, I think we've given them enough money. I mean, we continue to give them sales tax.
Okay.
I think if they can't make it with that, they need to do some fundraisers.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised to see them here asking for more money, honestly. So I'd probably do the same camp.
Yeah.
Okay, Daniel?
I mean, I think it's a great project, but I think it's up to them to raise the funds, so I agree with Brent.
Yeah. Same.
Cool. Maybe next
I hope it works, but
Yeah, good.
I think,
Godspeed and good luck.
Can we get an update on the marshal's office?
It's still under construction.
It's not done yet.
Where are we at in construction?
For the slab, Monday, as promised, the fence will be moved, for road fence, and then it'll push back out. Building is set to be done July 8th, should be delivered around July 15th. We're hoping to get most of the red iron up before maintenance days. And then after that, it's pretty smooth sailing.
So you said the floor should be done next week sometime?
It'll be poured, Monday. The first part of the ADA ramp will be poured, I believe, Monday as well. But because of how the steps and the ADA ramp, you have to do two different sets on that. And it's kind of, the architect did a wonderful job on this. So.
Sweet.
nice. All right. Thank you. Anything else that we want to see on the agenda for our next meeting? Heather, I've got a question. Oh, did you have something?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I have a question for you. So if we wanted to change the agenda and just take off the moment of silence, do we need to do that, or do we just like consensus?
You guys can do that via consensus.
Okay.
So whatever you would just say now.
I like saying a prayer before the meeting because that's the only thing that keeps me sane. I mean, it only takes 30 seconds. I mean, are we trying to speed this up or what's the deal?
Speed it up. It's not specifically for prayer, although that's how it got on the agenda. Yeah, just some people, I've gotten feedback, that they don't like it. Some people like it.
So what I use it for, Cindy, and I'm going to tell you, I say a prayer and I thank all the people that are out there putting themselves in harm's way.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's what I use it for.
Mm-hmm.
You may take it off. I'm going to sit here in silence and do the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's however you want to do it, but I think it shows respect.
Okay. All right.
To me.
Nick, thoughts?
I like having it there.
You do?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I usually just take a deep breath. So, yeah. It's one of the few moments of silence I get. It's a few, I don't get a lot of silence nowadays, so I like it.
Yeah, okay. Daniel?
I think, I like it. It's a moment of unity, I think.
Okay. All right.
I'm fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We'll leave it. All right. All right, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Knew that was coming.
Sayonara.
I was always picking that one.
I'm glad I took a nap this morning.